Welcome to The Funniest Thing.
Yes.
Where each week we share stories about how stepping out boldly always leads to better than expected outcomes.
Thank goodness.
I'm Darrell.
I'm Ed.
And we're broadcasting live from CHOBO Studios in beautiful downtown
Van Nuys,
California. Yes.
Not far from Victory Boulevard.
Now, Ed,
let's thank our Patreon folks
Yes!
before we get started. Thank you all for contributing. If you want to contribute to Patreon monthly, as little as $5 a month.
to our show through Patreon.
But if you really want to treat yourself, you can go on up the ranks and donate and contribute more. Since we stepped out boldly, since Unity Online Radio shut its doors.
Yeah, they stopped transmitting.
We already have
broadcasting.
a great group out there Patreoning away, and we really appreciate you.
Yes.
If you want to contribute, patreon.com/funniest thing, and that's patreon.com/funniest thing. And now,
Yeah, you could donate as little as $5 a month, and it really goes far to help Ed and I continue to produce this show.
and I'll tell you this, one of the things that's really helped me with regards to finances is the fun. When I used to be very scarcity minded about
Yes.
it, I never wanted to give any away because
Right.
I was afraid, I need it. Where's it going to come from? But it really has improved my relationship with money to realize that I'm someone who's helping other people do things.
Yes.
And so I just recommend that regardless of how you choose to do that. I definitely recommend finding even the smallest ways to see your money work to help someone else achieve their dream or the things that you love.
Yes.
It really does help the circulation. And that's what all of this stuff is about. So with circulation, that is, keeping your good flowing, your joy, sharing your gifts. There's a big reason for that.
Yeah, I was going to actually say that actually helps reinforce the fact that thou art good enough.
That's right. Today's show is called Thou Art Good Enough with Ken Fendrick. He is here all the way from San Diego. What's the name of his church down there? Unity of the Trails? I see him on the Zoom. Can you nod your head? Is it Unity of the Trails? Okay.
Yes, it is.
It's
Okay.
Unity of the Trails in San Diego if you want to check him out. But we know him from Unity of the West Side,
That's right.
where he speaks monthly. And he's just a joyful soul. So we're looking forward to him coming on in the second segment to reinforce the idea that thou art good enough, because believing we are not good enough as is cuts us off from others and God. This has been a huge learning for Darrell and me.
Yes.
But realizing for myself that I am sinning and missing the mark when I am, I'm not good enough. I'm going to hold it all in. I'm not delivering the goods that God gave me to deliver to the day that is in front of me when I'm thinking I'm not good enough, so I won't give it. This is God. God put all that stuff in us, right? Our job is to deliver it, not to judge it. So we second guess the nudges of our heart and perpetually try to win approval.
Oh, that's such a horrible place to be.
Yeah, today is the perfect day to let down our guard and release our inner splendor. On today's episode, Darrell and Ed will remind listeners that it is worth the risk to be themselves and experience the joy of the Lord. Which could also be said the joy of the law of ever-increasing good, these divine laws.
Yes.
And during the second segment, one of a kind, Reverend Ken Fendrick joins the show to read and discuss today's daily word, creativity. Why don't we go? We're
going to go straight into three breaths, I guess.
Yeah, because this is one of Darrell's favorite groups.
No.
Favorite songs.
No. But the funniest thing, when we were talking about doing the show this week, Ed, we were talking on the phone. Ed said, I just read something good from Celebrate Yourself for the Show by Eric Butterworth.
Right.
So when we got done talking, all I kept hearing in my head is this one portion of this one song that was popular when I was a kid. Very young, like elementary school. Mm-hmm. And the only thing I remember of it, and it made me think the whole song was joyful, is celebrate, celebrate, dance to the music.
Right.
So Ed and I tried to find the song because I go, that's the perfect. We're going to use that for the 3 breaths.
Right.
You know, we'll just modify it a little.
It'll turn your dark night of the soul into a 3-dog night of the soul.
That's right. And because that's the group that played it. But we started looking it up. First, I thought, no, I think it's the Doobie Brothers from Listen to the Music.
Whoa, listen to the music. So joyful.
Nope. So then I started plugging in, okay, celebrate, dance to music. And it kept saying 3-dog night, celebrate. And when I would play that song, I go, this is not it. This is not it. And finally, like everywhere, all the other searches said, no, that's the song.
Yes.
So I had to like listen to the song.
Yes.
And it finally gets like, it's not a very celebratory tune.
Right.
But the only thing I remember as a kid is the one part which is the most joyful portion of the song. So it took a while for us to figure out where this was from. But we modified it a little. So I'm going to kick it off.
Without further ado.
Yes, I'm going to kick it off, and then Ed's going to
sit up straight.
Join
boys.
us.
You're going to need a full diaphragm of love for this
because
one.
Ed actually thinks I know this better than he does.
Okay, you ready? Deep breath. You're the one who used to listen to it in that van you owned. Let's go.
Wait, I was only 8. Okay, here we go. Celebrate, celebrate. I celebrate myself.
Celebrate, celebrate. I celebrate myself.
Celebrate, celebrate. I celebrate myself.
Beautiful.
Well, that definitely rose the, elevated the mood.
I know. At the very least, it got oxygen to my brain.
Did.
It was
I
like
feel
for the first
awake.
time all day. But you know what really kicked this off? It wasn't the book Celebrate Yourself. It was I was meditating. And my school has been super busy. The person that I talked about this, I've just been like doing the job of like 3 people on top of my job, which is already a lot as the special education teacher at my school. But I was meditating, and this whole thing, this whole show has been like a big part of my salvation through understanding these principles. First of all, this whole show is about metaphysics. Practicing them.
Yes.
They are principles that anyone and everyone can practice, and you can start now, and you don't need anything special to do it. Everyone can do it. You can start it right now. You don't need to wait until at the end of the show. We're gonna give you a secret password where you can get into Darrell and Ed's Platinum Membership Club. No. You read the books we read. You practice this stuff. It's already at work in your life. You can do it.
Yes.
You're already doing it. You're amazing. That's the number one thing. But what I realized, every morning I get up and I'm like, my rational brain's going, how in the heavens am I going to do that job? It's not possible. I can't rationally wrap my mind around the scheduling. Not only that, but every day I've been getting texts because I'm handling the scheduling part that I don't normally handle. And it's like, so-and-so's absent. So like I've had like at least 2 to 4 staff members absent every day. State testing going on, other testing, like not possible. But so the negative rational mind's going, I must not be good enough because I can't do this, right? Or my rational mind's judging me, but this through the morning routine of reading these books, meditating, which is really simple. You can do it anytime you sit down and just breathe, relax, set a timer for as little as 3 minutes. Just relax. Pay attention to the room. Shift your focus away from those thoughts that are getting all of your attention, and remember who you are. And then affirm some things about the type of day you're going to have. Right?
Yes.
But what came through me in my meditation was, Ed, Celebrate Yourself. Because I love that. It's my favorite, one of my favorite spiritual books is Celebrate Yourself by Eric Butterworth. But that's what came through. But what it meant to me was all the stuff you're holding against yourself, Ed, your whole life, you can celebrate it. I don't care what you said the wrong thing and did that thing that you've been holding and hiding and judging yourself. Start celebrating it because it's what led you here. We can start celebrating ourselves. We have that option at any moment, but we don't. A lot of us don't know.
That's right.
Yeah, and so Francis Wilshire in 1935 wrote a unity book called You, Mine is like the cover's ripped off. I got it at Unity of Tustin Library, actually. I borrowed it, and I still have it. And it looks like this if you're looking on YouTube. If you're not looking on YouTube, go to our Facebook fan page.
Yes.
And you can see the YouTube video or find us on YouTube.
Yes. And you could actually purchase this book for as little as $3 on Amazon.
Sometimes they're like 1 cent.
Yeah.
The thing to remember, too, since we're all, out here off of Unity Online Radio, if you love the show, the best thing you could do is share the show, rate, comment the show, comment on it or give it a rating wherever you listen to it.
Yes.
But just get it out there, because when I read this, I realized this saves my life. Not everyone even knows that they have a divine self inside, because the only way to really know is to visit it, to connect with it, right?
Yeah. But then once you allow it out.
Yes.
Well, we got tons of stories to share, but it just feels so good when we could.
Yes.
When we could tell the truth without fear of loss.
Yes.
All of a sudden, it feels like life comes through you, because you're not withholding, you're not second guessing, and you're not believing the old thought of I'm not good enough as is. So if I admit I don't know, or if I say I do when maybe they want me to say I don't, then I'm gonna lose whatever it is I think I need in this situation.
Right.
But we're saying that's the lie of believing I'm not good enough as is.
Yes.
And once I can just, and it takes energy to believe I'm not good enough as is, and because then we're constantly trying to, like it said in our reading, we're perpetually trying to win approval.
Right.
Rather than being honest and just letting the cards fall. But every time I'm 100% honest, with no fear of loss, and it may be saying the thing that my reasonable mind is saying, this is not the right thing to say in this situation, because you could lose your job. One in particular, just real quick.
Yeah, no, go.
I got hired when I first moved to California to paint neon tubes for a lighting, a guy who created, fancy lighting. And it was $10 an hour. It made my budget. It wasn't what I came to Los Angeles to do. I wanted to work in the entertainment business. But you know what? It paid the bills. I blessed the job, and I'm painting these neon tubes.
Right.
And I'm doing everything these books tell us.
Right.
Bless the thing. It blesses you. And I didn't know how my good was going to come about, but I knew God was going to bring it about.
Right.
And I just painted neon tubes. It turns out they were for a movie set.
Right.
Turns out they were for a miniature Las Vegas that I got to build for the movie Con Air, which was like 20 years ago.
Nick Cage, right?
With Nick Cage, yes. So I built the actual Hard Rock Hotel sign, all the lighting for that. I did that.
Right.
For the big crash. The mini neons were for the big crash.
Right.
Well, I was working for the lighting guy. I wasn't working for Disney. I was a subcontracted worker, even though I'm working on the movie on the set. So towards the end of the run with the subcontractor, I noticed when I'm firing up this light, because now I have to test this thing and make sure it works. The Hard Rock Hotel sign. So I'm firing this thing up, and it took like 37 transformers to reduce the electricity down. So, because these are tiny little neon tubes, 1/18th scale of the original sign. But when I fired all these transformers up, I'm going, wow, this smells like fresh spring air.
Right.
And the art director's around, and I call him over and I go, Mike, is it okay that I'm breathing this stuff? I go, because it smells really good to me. And usually things that smell really good to me aren't good for me. Like cigar smoke, gasoline.
Oh, smell of gasoline.
So he goes like this. He goes, come on, Pizarro, stop joking around. You're the electrical engineer. So part of me goes, oh, shit, they think I'm an electrical engineer?
Right.
So it was, do I go along with it? Because this might get me fired or whatever. You know what I mean? I could feel that. But here's the thing. When we feel not good enough as is, and we're about to defend that from ourselves from that place, you'll feel your body constrict.
Yeah.
Because you start worrying and then scheming simultaneously.
It's like my wife said. You got to start to realize that that's too bad to be true when it feels that bad.
So I just go, I just let him have it. I go, I'm not an electrical engineer. I got hired off the street for $10 an hour. And I felt so high.
Right. You let yourself off the hook.
Yes. That energy comes through when to thine own self be true. That feeling is what is defined as charisma. People love, I love people when they're themselves 100%.
Yeah, because we learned that on our last show. The charisma is like about your inner, it means inner gift, like connection to your inner gifts.
So you know what he said? He goes, yeah, right, Fazara. Well, listen, Disney wants to hire you to be the stunt coordinator. Can you do it? And now I had the second.
Yeah.
I'm going, in my mind, I'm a stunt coordinator. I don't know what that is. I better just lie. And I said, stunt coordinator, because I was so high from telling the first truth.
Right.
God was conspiring in my favor. Like I couldn't hold back.
Right.
It's so wonderful, this stuff, because once the spirit flows through, it's like a fire hose. You cannot now put it back. And that's a good thing. So I just said, what does a stunt coordinator do? He goes, listen, you don't worry about it. You just walk around with a walkie-talkie, and as long as, Felix doesn't catch on fire while he fires up your sign, you have nothing to worry about. And I said, all right, I'll do it.
That's right.
But see, that's the but the big thing about that is two things. One is when we can abandon ourselves 100% to whatever God's will is in the situation, and then tell the truth without fear of loss. And the only time I'm tempted or feel myself starting to fudge, even justify a white lie, is because I'm starting to believe again I'm not good enough as is.
Right.
So I have to kind of come up with a scheme because I'm worried that you might find that out.
Right. Right.
But now I'm just reinforcing a lie about myself because every time I have told the truth with abandon, like you have.
Right.
The most seemingly counterintuitive, I shouldn't say counterintuitive, counter to our reason, rational mind turns out we become victors.
Yes.
Like it turns out better than expected. That's what our show is all about, stepping out boldly.
Yes.
In this manner. That was the origin of this show from the beginning 13 years ago.
Yes, that's right. That's right. So Francis Wilshire says in the first chapter of this book, what is the most interesting and important subject in the world? This was asked of a group of university students. The answer was oneself. Really, to know oneself is the most inspiring and romantic thing in the world. My desire in this series of lessons is to help you to meet face to face this charming you. This self you are meeting now, perhaps for the first time, is the you of you.
Yes.
You must recognize your real self to be a spiritual being all the way through. Your mind is spirit invisible and your body is spirit materialized. You are a divine child and God is your father. Through knowing that you are a perfect child of God, you lose your self-consciousness and become conscious of your true self.
Yes.
This will give you a new quality or tone which the world will recognize.
Yes.
The law is when you rise up in consciousness, all things rise up to meet you. Everything in your life improves and takes on a finer quality or tone, and you attract only the superior side of life. Like attracts like. So know yourself. It does not seem a great deal to ask anyone, does it? It only means that you will discover that you are more wonderful than you have ever imagined, and that you have a presence within you, which when released will give you divine assurance. You are the most vital thing in the whole universe as far as you are concerned.
Yes.
The story that came up for me was when I was in the halls and I was doing a lot of for work, so my mind was already feeling stressed and overwhelmed, and there's so many things like state testing and this other type of testing I had to do where there's all this like, you gotta do it this way or this way, you can't have, if there's a phone in the room, the feds are coming in to arrest you, like there's all these like warnings and stuff. So I was tired, blah blah blah, and so I went to talk to a teacher just to tell her one simple thing, and I had to tell her it a certain way because this student hadn't been coming to the groups that she was supposed to be coming to.
Right.
I didn't want her to get in trouble because she's a sensitive soul.
Right.
So I just told the teacher, so-and-so can start coming to the groups now at 12:45.
Nice.
And then I almost said something about tomorrow, about the schedule. And then my mind freaked out like, I don't even know what tomorrow looks like. I said, forget it. I'll tell you tomorrow. But I started feeling stressful. And right at that moment, this girl tried to go around me. and she bumped into me. She's in 3rd grade and fell, like slid into home down these 2 little steps next to me. And it was bad enough. This little girl was like, she was sad. She's crying and she scraped her knee.
Well, embarrassed too.
But inside me, because I had already had this like buildup of like guilt and fear and doubt, worry, all this stuff going on, I felt really guilty, like I had done something wrong too.
Yes.
And so, but I know I practice my morning routine. I practice this stuff enough that even when my rational mind goes off the rails, I do have faith in the greater, knowing that I'm still a divine being, that my job is to show up. So I sat with her, told her teacher to go back to class, talk to her like a doctor, like the kind, loving doctor. You'll be all right. Let's see how you're feeling. How's this? How's that? Then I said, look, I'll give you want a sticker? I got some stickers in my room. And her friend, who was the helpful friend, I praised her for being a good friend. We walked back to the room, and I couldn't make out, is the girl, like the part of me that felt guilty is the girl's not saying anything. She's like frozen up because I'm a scary person and I'm doing something wrong. That's what the fearful mind was telling me. But the other part of me was like, no, that's not true. That's like, that's too bad to be true.
Yes.
So this is where I was honest. I said to these 2 girls, I said, I'm a really sensitive person and I feel really sad right now. I don't like to see someone get hurt. I feel kind of guilty.
Yes.
And this whole school thing is a little overwhelming because I'm really sensitive. And the girl made this little gesture that the kids have learned to make, meaning like when they're in class and they feel in agreement with something someone says, they do this little hand gesture. Out of nowhere, when I said that about how I felt, she did the same thing and said, I feel the same way. And then all of a sudden, she started talking to me, and we all of a sudden, this great relationship, like God made us bump into each other.
Yes.
Because later in the day, she came back to see me, to ask me about something. And then the next day when I saw her, and she was like a different person.
Yes.
When I met her, she was frozen. I'm sure she was feeling guilty. Like she did something wrong, like you said. Now I have this beautiful supportive relationship with the student, but it came, like you said, by me saying, forget about being the grown man who has it in control. I just let him know how I really felt, and it just opened up this whole new world for both of us.
Or taking what you felt and twisting it, like some teachers might do, is like, you need to watch where you're going. You can't just run through these hallways.
Them, right.
You can't just, because they're taking that not good enough as is. I mean, we've all done it, of my belief in myself, and then we call it a blame thrower. Poof, put it on the other person.
Yeah.
You didn't do that either, which someone could easily do.
And it kind of relates to that other student I had this big meeting for, this 3-year meeting where we assess the students, like for special ed. Are they still, what do they need? So all year, especially this year, I don't even know grades. I work with students on skills and I send them on their way. My idea is, I love seeing them. I instill confidence that they're amazing.
Yes.
Especially if they're different than everyone else. For me, that's a positive thing.
Yes.
So I've been working with this kid, but these meetings come and I'm like, oh my God, I don't really know like how much progress they've made, because that's not like in academics, because that's not what I care about. I care about them growing as a person.
Well, that's the most important thing, because with that, everything else does improve.
What's amazing
instead of focusing on these little tasks, and then nothing's improving and everything just becomes a rote exercise and memorization.
You're 100% correct, because what turned out, we did this academic testing. This kid made so much progress this year academically that he exited out of special education. And not only that, he had this processing challenge with information, processing information that showed up the last time they assessed him. That processing deficit did not even show up on any of the tests that the psych report on that the psychologist did. I'm just blown away by this stuff.
But this is the thing we all forget, because it seems like we're not doing enough when we're living and applying these principles, but we're doing more than enough.
Yeah, why don't you read that?
Yeah, we'll close out this this segment with this reading, because this goes great with what we're talking about.
Right.
And it's from Alan Cohen.
Yes.
And this is exactly what we're talking about when we are when we're believing we're not good enough as is. We start feeling we have to defend ourselves.
Yes.
So the title is The Unaffordable Budget. It's from June 3rd.
Yes.
In my defenselessness, my safety lies. That's from A Course in Miracles.
Right.
And he shares a story. On the Star Trek television series, the crew of the Starship Enterprise regularly faced a tough dilemma. While holding up their force field shields to ward off an attack, the ship would lose power to do anything else. Engineer Scotty would report to Captain Kirk, "Our shields are draining our energy." Is that Scottish?
Good enough for me. Scotch.
If we are going to make a move of any kind, we're going to have to drop them, Captain.
Yes.
Any energy we invest in defense robs us of creativity and diminishes our ability to move forward.
Yes.
And that's what we do in those moments we believe we're not good enough as is. The more energy we spend in hiding or lying,
right,
the less alive and creative we are. Consider bringing your hidden self into the light, and you will liberate the riches of your soul, which both our stories actually were examples of.
Right.
You might think that if people knew who you really are, you would be crucified. But if you knew who you really are, you would be exalted. And that's the feeling we get when we can reveal our true identity. And the affirmation is, I am as God created me. I renounce fear and regain my soul.
Well, I'm going to end with this.
Yes.
Because we're freewheeling nowadays. Okay. Celebrate yourself from Eric Butterworth, which is perfect for today's show. This is why when we let down our guard and trust, even when our own mind doesn't know who we are, we still are that. We still are amazing. Even when our own rational mind forgets, which mine does all the time, we start to develop this ability to relax into it and trust that it's still there. And Eric Butterworth says, take time to be still and listen to the beat of your heart. Do your morning routine, he's saying.
Yes.
Feel the throb of your pulse. The universe is celebrating itself in you as an instrument of life. It is singing itself into your soul, saying you're alive, you're whole, you are being healed and renewed in a constant rhapsody of life. Celebrate yourself. Say yes to life, to health, to renewal. Sing your song of wholeness. This is what love is, a great celebration. It is the great heart of the universe streaming into and through you and willingness to let it shine. When you really understand what love is, you find that by loving, even what you did was loving, by admitting the truth.
Yes.
You ennoble yourself. You are in tune with the cosmic flow. Get a sense right now of the infinite heart of God flowing forth through you and out to embrace all the persons in your world. Celebrate yourself through love. This is what joy is, a celebration of life. The fact is, the happy life is one that is in tune with the inner flow, not the outer flow, the inner flow.
Yes.
When you are inwardly centered, you are happy. And your happiness is not the effect of things or conditions, but most likely the cause of them.
Yes, the cause.
So coming up next, today's guest, the great Reverend, one-of-a-kind Ken Fendrick, joins the show to read and discuss today's daily word, creativity. Thank you for listening to Funniest Thing with Darrell and Ed.
Thou art good enough, folks.
Yes, sir.
That's straight from God to you listeners. And we're back for the second segment of this episode.
Yes.
We want to thank our listeners. But I think Ed has
got some readings, one reading and one quote.
Yes, let's hear it, Ed.
So this is from Arthur Rubinstein, everybody.
Arthur Rubinstein.
And Arthur Rubinstein said, to be alive, to be able to see, to walk, to have houses, music, paintings, it's all a miracle. I have adopted the technique of living miracle to miracle.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so true.
That's what we've all adopted when we start to apply these principles in our life.
Yes. Yeah, sometimes this week, taking the Neville Goddard, well, I'm sure he's not the first person to say this, but the whole idea of what do I consent to?
Yes.
When there's all this like crappy stories going on in my head, the more and more I practice this, I realize those stories the stories in my head may or may not be in alignment with what God is thinking, right? Like with what is true about me. So lately, I'm just learning. I don't even confide to that. I don't even consent to that.
Yes.
If it's a story about whatever it is going to get worse, but I have to keep doing it.
Yeah, because whatever we consent to is what we start to materialize in our experience.
And I have to have the confidence to know that there's new thoughts are going
Yes.
to come, just like the new thought movement.
Yes.
If I just willing to just look away from that other story,
Yes.
the reason I say this is because, like Arthur Rubinstein said, there's miracles happening all the time.
Yes.
It's just whether or not I'm tuned into them. And and Charles Fillmore wouldn't even call them miracles. It's just natural order. It's divine order. There's divine order around us all the time.
Well, it's also the metaphysical understanding of the verse, turn the other cheek.
Yeah,
It's
right.
I'm not going to, instead of consenting to this thing that's upsetting me, I'm going to turn the other cheek and I'm going to start believing in the good that I know is the reality.
Remember when you used to dance in the clubs in New York in like '86? And then you would have the crowd yell, "Turn the other cheek!"
Oh,
and you'd
yeah.
shake
It was a
booty.
different cheek. Yeah, it was
All right. Foster McClellan says in Thoughts for a Friend, which is a Unity book we love, Love Thyself Day. Did you know that this could be National Love Thyself Day? It could be, so I am proclaiming it now. I think it is safe to do this, for Jesus said that we are to love ourselves and our neighbors as ourselves. He meant this for us today and every day. On Love Thyself Day, we will have to look beyond outward appearances, outward actions, apparent limitations, and look for the inner glory. This is the secret of life, and this is the secret of true prayer. Someone has said that true prayer is recognizing the truth that everyone is a wondrous miracle made in the image of the Father. Eric Butterworth said that.
Yeah.
On this national holiday, I acknowledge that you, my friend, are indeed a wondrous miracle, just as I am, and we will work to prove this to ourselves and to our neighbor. We acknowledge our oneness with God and man. We remember that we are children of God, and we live in this light all day, every day. And that's kind of what I was saying earlier. This stuff changes my whole life, because now instead of trying to make a kid get better at reading or trying to change a parent's mind, I really see that the principal problem that anyone has is they've forgotten how amazing they are. And by me remembering how amazing I am, I'm better able to see it in others and, without even trying, really facilitate them seeing it in themselves. So let's thank our listeners.
Yes.
Thank you all for tuning in, sharing the show. If you want to send us anything, funniest thing, P.O. Box 1312, Culver City, California, 90232. We love visiting the P.O. Box every day, see what's in there. We got a little something in our Facebook message from Christina Robaum. You might remember from Utah. We played her voice message.
Yes.
She said, "Dude," with many U's. You guys played my audio. Thanks for the capability, Indy. LOL. You guys are the best. What a cool new option to have. And then the guest is able to comment on it too. So cool.
Yes.
By the way, you mentioned Indy. Indy, give him a wave, will you? You got any words of wisdom, a quick line of wisdom for everyone out there, Indy? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I got to say, hit up the Funniest Thing Patreon. I guess that's a word of wisdom that I've not.
There you go.
Yeah.
Great. And if you want to do a show, just like Darrell and Ed, hit up chobostudios.com. It really is an amazing price, value for what we get out of the show, and plus you get to hang out with Indy. He really helps us plan the show now.
Well, he's very thoughtful engineer,
and he practices this stuff.
So you actually, that you don't have to worry about a thing. He takes care of it as if it's his own.
It's really beautiful.
If it's his own production.
I know. It's what we've always dreamed of, man. Like,
yes.
Darrell's gotten 10 years younger because he's not trying to run the whole board, which was a laptop and everything like we used to do. So check out our website, darrellanded.com. You can find everything you need there as well. We do have a reading list there if you want to read what we read. Let's thank the chief engineer, the other engineer who we send this stuff off to get it online. He's been with us since the beginning. Yeah. He actually built Unity Online Radio, built a studio over there, and we love him dearly. He actually lives in, I forgot if I've said this, but he does live in Kansas City, I think. And his name's Jeff Comfort.
And each week,
he takes us
right into the comfort zone.
Yeah. Shout out to Silent Unity, the prayer line. The first phone line in Missouri.
Yes, it was.
It is. If you want to remember that thou art good enough, give them a call. 800-NOW-PRAY, 800-669-7729. And they have an app that works on some phones, apparently. The letter U, the word pray. You can type in your prayers.
Yeah.
We may or may not have had some Silent Unity people on here in the past. John Strickland.
Yes, John
Joy Cherry is her
Joy
name now, or
Cherry.
Perry? What
Yeah.
was she?
They were both directors of Silent Unity. She
Yeah.
still is. She still is. Yes.
Tom Thorpe's done a little.
Yes.
Yeah. So, or a lot with them as well.
Yep.
But, so you never know who you're going to get on the other end of the line. But I guarantee you, you will remember that thou art good enough because you don't have any say in it. You are good enough. You were created good enough. I don't care what you're saying to yourself. If it's not that thou art good enough, it's simply not true. And it's time to start adjusting what we're telling ourselves.
Well, that's why it feels bad when we think those negative thoughts
That's
about
right.
ourselves because they're not true.
Because Jesus loves you more today than
Than
yesterday. But you know what?
But not as much as tomorrow.
That's right. All right. Shout out to our friend Chico, just so he doesn't grill us. Outreach at Unity Online Radio. No, this is for Message of Hope. They provide daily word
And
Braille,
Braille.
Spanish to people in need. Outreach at unityonline.org is where you can find them and support their ministry. Now,
The moment you've been waiting for.
Unity of the Trails is where this man can be seen on a regular basis and heard, and he'll tell us more about where you can find him. But we know him from speaking monthly over at Unity of the West Side.
In Culver City.
Right. He seems to get younger every time we see him. I'm not
Yeah.
sure. I think it's because of practicing these principles. He was once a DJ. I think, was he in the Army? But his name is Reverend Ken Fendrick. He's a Unity minister, and he's amazing, and he's here with us. How are you, sir?
Oh, doing great, Darrell and Ed. Just another beautiful day here in sunny Southern California.
Yes. So was it Army? I know you did. Didn't you do some time in the military?
Yeah, I was actually in the California National Guard here in
yes.
San Diego. Was a medic in a Cavalry Scout, and I served in the early 80s through the early 90s.
Oh, wonderful.
Wow, you don't look that old.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
It's these principles, like you said, to keep you young.
Yeah. So you're a professional. You've been listening from the green room the whole time. We always like to open the floor for anything that might be bubbling up, or even that you prepared to on the subject that is present for you that you might want to share with us to kick it off.
Yeah, you guys are so much. I was actually taking notes because you guys just throw out all these cool little nuggets, and I won't get that song out of my head now. That Three Dog Night song. I celebrate, celebrate, celebrate myself. I just love that, and I love how you incorporate music into all your stuff. I'm gonna lift that into some of my talks. But the real thing I wanted to get at, what you guys have really been honing in on, is this idea of being yourself and being good enough.
Yes.
You know, and going through the ministry program at through Unity Worldwide, it's an arduous process. There's an application. You have to go through a whole round of interviews, and in going through these interviews, they can be pretty stressful. They grill you on all kinds of theological, Unity subjects, metaphysics, and then they get into the essence of who you are. And we would be sitting there in a group of ministerial, candidates waiting to go to our interviews, and we'd be stressing and looking over the notes, and you're trying to, sometimes your tendency is to want to pretend and give them the right answer, like fake it till you make it.
Right.
And these are very experienced ministers. They've been through the whole round. They're very, very adept at discernment, and they see through that. So the best thing you can do is just be yourself. And if you don't know the answer, say, you know what, I don't know. And what started coming to me in this process is, you know what? I know what I need to know. Spirit, I've done the work. I've done the studying. I've done the practicing. Spirit is going to provide me with what I need at the right time. And I'm going to go into that room and be the best Ken I can be my own unique light in my own self. And so that's what I did. And I encouraged others. And I found that not only was I not stressed, I was having fun. It was more like a conversation. Friends, or like we're talking with now, instead of putting these ministers on a pedestal and they're on this tribunal board, and I'm the little guy in the seat feeling very small like this. And no, it's just like you and I just talking right now. So I really appreciate you guys bringing that forth, because I think it's so important to know that, we are perfect just the way we are. Yeah. We embody that divinity.
It's like the end of that thing you read, Ed. It's getting to the point. It's an I don't care, but an I don't care, not like, like my old self when I was throwing in the towel, pretending I didn't care and giving up, before moving forward. No, I'm talking about like in that McClellan, it's an I don't care because because I'm going to let God, I'm just going to be me and God's going to take care of me.
Right.
And it's going to work out magnificent. I don't know how it's going to work out, but it's letting go of the care of I'm not good enough, so I have to prove myself. And I think that's what Ken is hitting on too. It's like, I can't worry about trying to make an impression. I just need to be myself. It's dropping my guard.
It's an inner, you know what it really is too, is it's an inner not caring.
Yes.
It's being willing to say to my own concerns that, I'm not concerned about that. It's not about really projecting my concerns on someone else and then telling them that I don't care, but it's actually going within and releasing the actual concern from within and taking dominion over our own mind so that, like you said, it's a true carefree attitude.
It's the definition of carefree. I'm free of the care in a terrible false idea that I'm not good enough as is, so I better...
Which is the kind of freedom everyone desires.
I better try to figure out what they want to hear. And instead it's like, no, I can't.
Yeah. Right.
And giving it up really gets us our heart's desire.
Oh, amazing.
And I think that is the fertile soil that breeds joy, that grows joy. Because when you can be yourself, because I used to have people tell me after some of my Sunday talks when I was starting out and I was in the program, well, Ken, you're not acting, you need to act more ministerial. And what does that mean? What is that? I'm supposed to walk around going,
That's the worst advice.
When you're called to ministry, you're called to bring all of you, your entire essence, and deliver it and practice your call as only you can practice it. I love the stories in the Bible where God calls these prophets, and they're not like the scribes. They're not the people at the top of the heap. These are people that they're the farmers, or they're the pig cleaner-uppers, or they're not the creme de la creme as society views them. But God saw something in these prophets that he could use a unique characteristic. And that's what I think is the beautiful thing about what you're saying, is that we all have our individual gifts, and there are certain things that nobody can do the way we can do them. Yeah. And when we find that calling, we're going to bless a lot of people.
Wow. When you're saying that is so inspiring to me. And that's why I love this show. And that's why I encourage the people who are listening right now, if you're listening and and someone comes to your mind who will benefit from this, because I found I was practicing praying. I was raised Catholic, and I had a lot of the foundation of these teachings that way, right? But when I went through a very dark night of the soul where I really, really needed answers, like I needed a drink of water and I was thirsty. So if you know someone, just suggest this to them, because what Reverend Ken is saying could really save them their life in that moment. Can really be the thing that they need to hear, that they are, as they are, perfect, and that their inner knowing is valid and valuable. So I just encourage listeners to share that, because what you just said, everyone really can benefit from hearing that.
Yeah, we're trying to reinforce the idea that I was terrified of before I had someone reinforce this idea, which is people would say, Darrell, you just got to trust yourself. But when you really don't believe you're good enough as is, there's nothing in there for me to trust. I didn't believe there was anything. Like, what am I going to trust? No, I need help. I need someone to tell me what to do, what the right answer is. Right. Because I had no sense of self, because for so long I was believing that the wrong belief of myself, I'm nothing. Right. It wasn't until later that I realized what that really means. Of myself, meaning of myself trying to will and figure out I am nothing. Right. And that's all I was doing. Right. And now by releasing that fear and just saying, I throw in the towel. This is me. And when I'm me, like you said, Ken, it feels that's when the joy just seems to flow, and I feel energized. I don't feel depleted. I felt depleted trying to second guess. Right. And then it's almost like in those moments we talked about in the first segment of the show, when I was just telling the truth to the people at Disney on the set, I felt so good. It didn't matter. if I got hired on. I mean, that was a bonus. And I'll tell you, folks, that will happen. The best outcome will always happen when you surrender and just, allow your honesty, your without fear of loss to come through. You will get the better than expected outcome. However, the feeling was the best part. Yeah. The feeling I felt in those moments, and that's the only reason I remember all these stories, is because of that feeling. The getting the better than expected result is almost like just a nice dessert to go along.
Well, the feeling,
with the feeling,
as we know, the feeling from what we read is the indicator that the door is open.
Yes.
So you get the best of all the worlds. So, so Ken, you want to jump into the daily word, and then we'll continue our chat?
I would love to jump into the daily word.
Oh, you want to tell everyone what you told us? Because we did switch the daily word, didn't we?
Oh, yeah. So I was given a daily word to read. And for those of you that don't know, the daily word is a publication put out by Unity. You can get onto their website, unity.org, subscribe to it. It's a great way to start your day. And so today's daily word was creativity, which is a great word and a concept. However, Darrell and Ed decided that, confidence might fit that better. And they were kind of debating about it. And I said, you know what? We're adults here. We can do whatever we want. Hey, if we want to eat our ice cream before we eat our dinner, we can do that.
Yes.
We can change the daily word if we want to. So today's daily word is going to be confidence.
Yes.
And it just happens to be today's daily word, which is divine order. So confidence. I just want you to sit back and feel that feeling is if you could do nothing wrong today.
Yes.
Everything is going your way. And say to yourself, I am a confident and capable child of God.
I am a confident.
Confidence is the realization of my worth and my abilities. When I feel confident, I am a powerful, commanding presence. I am composed and self-assured and capable of accomplishing anything I set out to do. I grow confident when I realize my oneness with the divine. Knowing that I am a child of God keeps me strong in spirit, and I tap into an endless supply of divine ideas and inspiration, which grounds me in the realization that there are no limits to my abilities. Spending time in prayer gives me a needed boost when I have a flagging confidence. I tap into the divine energy that is always within me, feeling it fill me. I emerge from prayer focused, energized, and newly confident. And there's a scripture verse that goes with this word, and it comes from Proverbs chapter 4, verses 25 through 26. And it says, "Let your eyes look directly forward and your gaze be straight before you. Keep straight the path of your feet, and all your ways will be sure." And we just say amen to that, right?
Wow. Amen to that. Yes, sir.
Wow.
Wow, that really does encompass everything we've been talking about, doesn't it?
I know. Nothing happens by mistake. And just so you know, the date we recorded this show is June 4th, Saturday, 2022. So you could actually find that daily word if you don't already have it. You could look for it online.
Yeah. So what's that inspiring you, Ken, when you read those words about confidence?
Oh gosh, I kept thinking about that term "fake it till you make it," and with you guys talking what you do today about being authentic, even when you don't feel like you're qualified. Like Darrell sharing that bit about the painting the tubes, and they said, "Oh, you're an electrical engineer." And to me, confidence means that you don't have to fake it till you make it.
Right.
You're confident in yourself with your own abilities and what God is expressing through you, and you're also confident enough to. Dare I say this, make mistakes.
Yes.
That's the other missing part of this is don't be afraid to make mistakes. And going back to my story about the interviews and stuff, what I used to joke around with my fellow students, and we used to laugh about this. I said, you know what? If worst comes to worst and you blank out or you feel you're screwing it up, Give them the jazz hands. Give them the jazz hands. Tappity, you know? Little diversion. So in life, I look at that, you know, in life, you know, when you feel like you're really screwing it up, and it goes back to our minds, right? We think we're screwing it up. That may not be the case at all.
Yeah.
But give them a jazz hands. If you're going to make a mistake, do it joyously. You know, just go forward, and you're going to learn from it, or you're going to get a breakthrough, and it's going to be awesome.
Right. You know, that goes along. I was just talking to Stephen Tom Thorpe, who's a friend of ours who's been on the show, and he does improv, and he had one of these nights where the person, he was stressed out going in, stressed out during. So he's like judging himself, you know, and then he like apologized to people afterwards. And I played a lot of music, and I realized at some point, and I'm learning this more in my job with the teaching, which is like kind of like unapologetically living. Even if you make a mistake, it's like, I told him, never apologize. No one else even saw or thought about what you were thinking. And if I do, like, I'm not saying don't say, oh, I'm sorry. I just mean that deep, like, self-loathing apology. It's unnecessary. Like, I had that meeting. I made this big joke because I had been saying his name Ivan. His mom said his name's Yvonne. And I've been trying to figure this out all year. And I started laughing at myself. Everyone else started laughing. A lot of times it really does actually bless like a potentially tense situation when we make a joke about ourselves or fall on our sword or acknowledge our humanity.
Well, everyone else can become, because then everybody, and when we can laugh at ourselves, we're including everybody else because everybody makes mistakes. So they feel, oh, wow, like let off the hook.
It's like the jig is up on all this unnecessary posturing that we sometimes think we need to do to like appear a certain way.
Well, you know, I was talking about the same thing with a friend of ours, Kirk Chelson, who's actually got a show now on Netflix.
It went through, huh?
Yeah. So in Poland.
Congratulations, Kirky boy. We love you.
Awesome.
So we were talking about being able to laugh at ourselves. And there's a quote I'll never forget from Ethel Barrymore, not Ethel Merman, your favorite singer.
Oh my God! Why didn't you tell me?
I've got a feeling.
Yeah, but Ethel Merman, Ethel Barrymore said, "You grow up the day you have your first really good laugh at yourself."
I thought it was Ethel. Okay, Ethel Barrymore.
Ethel Barrymore.
I'm texting Kirk right now. You're being cheap. You didn't tell me about the Netflix show.
Well, there you go.
Usually Kirk calls us right in the middle of these recordings because we see it on the Zoom phone. So this is great. Yeah.
Well, we're gonna have to start wrapping up the show.
I wanted to ask Ken, where can people find you? Tune into your message is there anywhere online?
Oh, that's a great question. My website is under construction, but you can find me on Facebook, view all my content. Just type in Unity of the Trails, or on YouTube. You can view much of our video content. If you'd like to be on our mailing list, you can go to unitythetrails@gmail.com and get on our mailing list, and we'll give you updates of what we're doing.
Where are you guys, in case anyone's in San Diego?
I am actually in San Diego County, so I do guest speaking here. Some different things like that. I'll be doing some classes coming up locally. And then I'm also, as you both know, traveling. But I'm located physically in the San Diego area in San Diego County.
Do you guys have a building there or not? We don't have a building.
No, I'm a church without walls.
Oh, okay.
So if they try and locate a building, they're going to get a post office box.
I see. Oh, that's cool. You're just like us. Well, we love the fact that like these, we always think that these podcasts are such a great modern way where people can travel with the message. So
yeah.
And as you said in a previous podcast, which I listened to, I think it was the last one, you said that people were referring to your podcast as a ministry and that you finally embraced that.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so cool because you know what? You really are a ministry. And not only a ministry, you're very innovative in the way you're bringing it forth. So I just celebrate and just bless both of you in that continued ministry.
We need it. We appreciate hearing that.
Yeah, coming from you, that means a lot to us, really, Ken. Does. Thank you very much for saying that.
We love you. Would you be willing to come on the show again in the future? We always like to grill you when you're on the air.
I don't know. I gotta change my rider a little bit. I gotta have M&Ms in the green room with the brown ones separated.
Indy's jotting that
down right now. Yeah,
guys.
We don't want you going into one of those rages we've heard about. Okay. I'm just kidding. But we do have a story about you. So hang on. We're going to wrap up the show, but we want you to hang on.
Yeah, you got to hear this.
So anyway, listen to this.
We found this online, Ken.
It's a little-known fact that Unity minister Ken Fendrick was making a farewell visit at the church that he'd been serving before he moved to San Diego.
Wow.
During his visit, an elderly woman from the congregation paid him a high compliment. She suggested that his successor, the person who was coming in next to take over, would not be as good as he had been. Nonsense, Ken replied, flattered but not wanting to appear proud.
No, really?
She insisted.
I've lived here under 6 different ministers, and each one has been even worse than the previous one.
Hey, boys.
Oh, wow. Sinatra, you got an interesting voice.
Yeah, I should have warmed up my voice before I came in here a little, but
Oh, goodness.
let's sing along to take this out, see if we can stick another one of these tunes in Kenny's head over here.
Okay, you ready?
This guy's beautiful. How much does he pay for how much work has he done on that grill of his?
No, it's all natural,
Maybe I get
Frank.
a number for his guy.
No, Frank, you're fine. Are you ready?
I need a rug doctor. Look at that head of hair. God knows what kind of chinchilla that came off of. All right. Next time you're frowned with your chin on the ground, there's a lot to be learned.
Just look around.
Just what makes that little old ant think he'll move that rubber tree plant? Anyone knows an ant can't move a rubber tree plant, but he's got...
Visit DarrellandEd.com to find easy links to everything we do. And thanks for being a
CHOBO
part of
Studios.
Funniest Thing with Darrell and Ed.
Oh, God.
I hope
So every time you're getting low, instead of letting go, just remember that ant. Oops, there goes another rubber tree. Whoops, there goes another rubber tree. Whoops, there goes another rubber tree plant.
Ballroom.